I now have the honor of introducing our commencement speaker today, Mr. Stedman Graham. Maybe he doesn't need any introduction. Stedman Graham is an educator, author, businessman. His presentations on the topics of identity development, maximizing leadership, achieving success, and personal and professional branding are driven by his 9-step success process. He has published 11 books, including 2 on the New York Times bestseller list. He has been an adjunct faculty member for some of the finest institutions in our country. He is a highly regarded speaker and consultant. We are honored to have him with us today as our speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Stedman Graham.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Glad to be here. Congratulations to our graduates. I know the parents and families are very proud. But I want to take this time to talk about who we came to celebrate, and that is you. I think the most important question that anybody will ever ask you is this question: who are you? Who are you? Do you know who you are? If I've asked some of you to make a list of what happens when you do not know who you are, most of us would agree that when you do not know who you are, you don't know where you're going. When you don't know who you are, you let other people define you. When you don't know who you are, you lose confidence. It's hard to be motivated when you don't know who you are. It's difficult to make good choices or visualize goals when you don't know who you are. You become frustrated and confused when you don't know who you are. When you don't know who you are, you're not able to take information, education, make it relevant to your heart, your soul, your mind, and then transfer it to the American free enterprise system or the global marketplace. You are essentially lost. There are 7 billion people in the world, ladies and gentlemen, and I believe that most of them don't know who they are. 1% run the world and everybody else is following. So your ability to maximize your potential students in the 21st century is being able to transform your mind from a follower to a leader. To be competitive today, you need strong leadership skills. Leadership is everything. We know that from Washington. Today, to be marketable in our global society, you must be a self-starter. You must be highly skilled. You must be able to assimilate in a diverse market. You must be a team player and have good relationship skills. You must be positive and work toward becoming a lifelong learner. And I will say this, that most people will never be able to find out who they are. They'll never be able to transform from a follower to a leader, because they wake up in the morning, they wash their face, they brush their teeth, they get something to eat, they get the kids off to school, they work all day, they come home in the afternoon, they spend time with their family, they watch TV, they go to bed, maybe they dream that's Monday. What do they do on Tuesday? They wake up in the morning, they wash their face, they brush their teeth, they get something to eat, they get the kids off to school, they work all day, they come home in the afternoon, they spend time with the family, they watch TV, maybe they go to bed, that's Tuesday. Graduates, what do they do on Wednesday? They wake up in the morning, they wash their face, they brush their teeth, they get something to eat, they get the kids off to school, they work all day, they come home in the afternoon, they spend time with the family, they watch TV, they go to bed, maybe they dream, that's Wednesday. Well, here comes Thursday. What do they do, graduates? Same thing. And Friday, what do they do? Same thing. Saturday, they sleep in, they wash, they clean up, they get the kids off their activities. Saturday night, they go out. Sunday, a lot of people go to church, they eat chicken dinners in the afternoon, they get ready for Monday, and they do what? Same thing. And how long can you do it for? Do it for 30 years, 40 years. You look back after 40 years, you say, you know what, I've been doing this same schedule for 40 years. I have no more in the end than I had in the beginning. And so what's the missing piece for most people? The missing piece is they forget to think. See, they're so conscious of their ability to do the same thing, or unconscious of their ability to do anything other than just think. They don't know how to take information and education and make it relevant to their purpose in life, transfer it to their mind, and then transfer it themselves to the American Free Enterprise System, ladies and gentlemen. And so the missing piece is they're disconnected from themselves. Oftentimes, they're not engaged. And then we go to school, and the educational system teaches us how to memorize and take tests, repeat the information back. We get labeled with a grade, and 2 weeks later, if I asked you what you learned, you would say what? I forgot. And so if you're doing the same thing over and over every single day, as you would do today, as you would do tomorrow, what have you done? Nothing. Everything we learn, we almost forget, which is nothing. So nothing from nothing is nothing. And so most people will never be able to develop an identity for themselves. They don't know who they are. So it took me a long time. It took me about 35 years before I woke up. I grew up in an all-black town surrounded by a white county where they said nothing ever good comes out of Whitesboro. We had a lot of good that came out of Whitesboro. I grew up in a family with 2 disabled brothers in my family. I grew up with low self-esteem, a lack of confidence in myself. And the only thing that saved me, you don't know this, but I worked in the prison system for 5 years. I didn't say I was in the prison system for 5 years. Oh, I heard he was in the prison system for 5 years. Worked in the prison system for 5 years, but there's no question I would have been a prisoner in that system except for one thing. I played basketball. And basketball helped me do what? It raised my self-esteem to believe in myself. And I never will forget, I was about 13 or 14 years of age, just a defining moment in my life. And we had one store in our town, one small store. And the guy that owned the store, his name was Mr. T.A. And we all would hang out at Mr. T.A.'s on Saturday and Sunday, playing pool and shooting pinball, of course, after church on Sunday. And I would say to Mr. T.A., I said to Mr. T.A. one day, I said, Mr. T.A., guess what? I'm going to college, because I was so proud of being able to go to college because I was getting all these scholarship offers from schools all around the country. And I said, Mr. T.A., I'm going to college. And Mr. T.A. looks at me and he says, son, you're not going to no college. Your family's too stupid, and you're too dumb. And you know, at 13 or 14 years of age, you're looking up to someone who you respect, and they say to you, you're not going to no college, your family's too stupid, and you're too dumb. And I promised myself, after I was sad for a while, and then I got mad, I said, you know what? I'm going to fix you, Mr. T.A. I'm going to college. I'm going to get my degree, and I'm going to bring it back to you, and I'm going to show you that I'm somebody. And that's how I graduated. Because my motivation was, you know what? I'll stay up all night long studying to pass that test. Because what did I have to do? If it's the last thing I'd do in my life, I had to get that degree, and I had to bring it back, and I had to show Mr. T.A. that I'm somebody. And I finally got that degree, ladies and gentlemen. And then I said, you know what? I'm not finished with you yet, Mr. T.A. I'm going to go get my master's degree. Went and got my master's degree, served in the U.S. Army after that, played ball in Europe, came back, worked in the prison system for a number of years, for 5 years, moved to Chicago. Met a woman in Chicago, you might have heard of her, her name is Oprah. I know y'all heard of her. You know, it reaches 20 million people a day in 115 countries for 25 years. Talk show for #1 talk show for years and years and years. Now has her own network and magazine, and very powerful woman. She knows who she is, but I didn't know who I was. And you're in a relationship with a very powerful woman. And so in order to be able to find freedom, and you're defined oftentimes by your relationship, and you're defined by your house and your car and your race and your class and your job and your title and your gender. And the world defines you and puts you in a box. And from all of these experiences, family experiences, community experiences, all of these experiences, I realized that if you're looking for freedom, ladies and gentlemen, freedom's not on the outside, freedom is always on the inside. And so if you can find freedom on the inside, you can do whatever you want to do in your life. You're able to take information and make it relevant to the freedom on the inside. And so I wrote a 9-step success process. And that 9-step success process talks about how to organize your life around who you are. And the first step is based on the most powerful word in the world. Now, if you get this step, you can do anything you want in your life. You'll be very successful. Most powerful word in the world is spelled L-O-V-E. Love. And who you are is based on what you love. So if you can organize, everybody's equal because everybody has 24 hours. So the question is how you organize the 24 hours. So if you can organize everything you love in your life, put it on a piece of paper, then take all the information and make it relevant to everything you love, so you turn the learning system around. Most people memorize, take tests, repeat the information back, get labeled with a grade, and 2 weeks later they forget the information. So when you begin to take information and make it relevant to who you are, to your skills, to your talents, to your abilities, to what you're passionate about, you begin to take control of your own life. You begin to empower yourself. Second step, got to have a vision. The good book says where there is no vision, the people perish. You got to see beyond yourself. Third step, got to have a plan. Your plan enables you to be able to execute. What's your plan for the future? The fourth step, master the rules of the road, your value system. What are your values? Number 5, step into the outer limits, overcoming your fears. There's only 2 emotions. There's love and there's fear. Step 6, pilot the seasons of change. It's not so much what happens to you, but how you respond to a lot of changes we go through from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed. Step 7, build your dream team. Got to have a team. No one makes it alone. No man or woman is an island unto themselves. Step 8, win by decision. Got to be able to take information and make that information relevant to the choices in your life. Step 9, last step, commit to your vision. You got to be able to transform from a follower to a leader, ladies and gentlemen. You got to be able to create a lifestyle for yourself based on ownership. And it's not always going to be pretty, not always going to be easy, graduates. And as they say, you're not a failure when you fall down, you're a failure when you don't get up. And I'm going to end with this story called The Race by D. Groberg that talks about this gentleman who's having a tough day. He's having it difficult. He falls down, but he keeps getting up. And the world's going to tell you sometime, especially when you transform from a follower to a leader, it's going to tell you, why don't you quit? Why don't you just give up? You're beaten, they shout at me and plead. There's just too much against you now. This time you can't succeed. And this guy starts to hang his head in front of failure's face, and his downward fall is broken by the memory of this race. And hope refills his weakened will as he recalls that scene. For just the thought of that short race, it kind of rejuvenates his being. See, it's a children's race. Young boys, young men, how he remembered well. Excitement, sure, but also fear. It wasn't hard to tell. They all lined up, so full of hope. Each thought to win that race. or tie for first, if not, they'll at least take second place. And fathers watch from off the side, each cheering for his son. And each boy hoped to show his dad that he would be the one. The whistle blew and off they went, young hearts and hopes afire. To win and be the hero there was each young boy's desire. And one boy in particular, whose dad was in the crowd, was running near the lead. He says, "My dad's gonna be so proud." But as they sped down the field across the shallow dip, the little boy who thought to win, he lost his step and slipped. Trying hard to catch himself, his hand flew out the brace, but amid the laughter of the crowd, he fell flat on his face. So down he fell, and with him hope he couldn't win it now. And embarrassed, sad, he only wished to kind of disappear somehow. But as he fell, his dad stood up and showed his anxious face to the boy so clearly, said, "Get up and win the race." He quickly rose, no damage done, behind the bit, that's all, and ran with all his mind and might to make it for his fall, so anxious to restore himself to catch up in the wind. His mind went faster than his legs. Guess what, y'all? He slipped and fell again. He wished that he had quit before with only one disgrace. "I'm hopeless as a runner now. I shouldn't try to race." But in the laughing crowd he searched, and he found his father's face. That steady look which said again, "Get up and win the race." So he jumped up to try again, 10 yards behind the last to finally gain those yards. He thought, "I've got to move real fast." Exerting everything he had, he regained 8 or 10, but trying so hard to catch the lead, guess what, y'all? He slipped and fell again. Defeat, he lay there silently, a tear dropped from his eye. There's no sense running anymore. 3 strikes, I'm out. Why try? The will to rise had disappeared. All hope had fled away, so far behind, so ever prone. A loser all the way. I've lost, so what's the use, he thought. I'll live with my disgrace. But then he thought about his dad, who'll soon have to face. Get up, and echo sounding low. Get up and take your place. You were not meant for failure here. Get up and win the race. Would borrow will get up and said, you haven't lost it all, for winning is no more than this, to rise each time you fall. So up he rose to run once more with a new commit. He resolved that win or lose, at least he wouldn't quit. So far behind the others now, the most he's ever been, still he gave it all he had and ran as though to win. 3 times he's fallen stumbling. 3 times he rose again, too far beyond the hope to win. But he still ran to the end. They cheered the winning runners as he crossed the line first place. Head high and proud, no falling, no disgrace. But when the falling youngster crossed the line last place, the crowd gave him the greater cheer for finishing the race. And even though he came in last with head bowed low and proud, you would have thought he won the race to listen to the crowd. And to his dad, he sadly says, Dad, I didn't do too well. To me, you won, his father said. You rose each time you fell. So now when things seem dark and hard and difficult to face, the memory of that little boy, it helps me in my race. For all of life is like that race, with ups and downs and all. And all you have to do to win, graduates, is to rise each time you fall. Keep rising. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you.